Call to order, Board of Trustees, regular meeting, Thursday, August 18th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. Roll call, Mayor Pro Tem Brumbelow,
Present.
Trustee Lopez,
Present.
Trustee Archuleta,
Present.
Trustee Mercer.
Present.
Thank you. Opening prayer, Trustee Archuleta, could you do the prayer, and Mayor Pro Tem Brumbelow do the pledge, please?
Dear Lord, we come before you right now. We just ask that you grant us peace and the knowledge we need right now. Help everybody that is needed your help right now, Lord Father God. Help the village of Milan to grow, Lord, and to expand. Help us make the right decisions and the conscious decisions, Lord, that we need to make. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, before I ask for approval of the agenda, we have a couple of changes. On updates, that would be number 10, the police chief report will be done by Sergeant Vallejos, and that'll be right after the public comment. And then the letter D for the attorneys, we're going to move that after letter J, because they're stuck in traffic. Okay, good.
I'll make a motion to accept the agenda with the changes made.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Trustee Archuleta, second by Mayor Pro Tem Brumbelow. Trustee Lopez.
Yes.
Trustee Mercer.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brumbelow.
Yes.
Trustee Archuleta.
Yes.
Thank you. Now we move to the public comments. Anybody for public comments? Okay, if not, we'll continue. Now we'll have the police report done by Sergeant Vallejos.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Board of Trustees. I don't know if you guys all have a sheet from Chief Ustupski on all the totals. So you have all the numbers there.
Very last.
You do have them?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so the numbers are there. For the ones that are in parentheses are for June, and the ones to the left are for July. So there's a big jump in some of them. Some of them are a little bit down. I'll make it short and sweet. As you all know, Officer Tristan Howard has resigned his position with the Milan Police Department, and he is now working for Grants Police Department. We wish him luck. Best of luck. Also, 12 shots fired calls since July 10th. Last year, during this time, we had the same issue. Chief Ustupski has created an operation plan to try and combat this issue, and he has other plans for it. A member of our community was struck by a train and lost her life. She was actually a neighbor to me that lived here in the residence. Prayers to her family. During the investigation, we discovered that there have been several near misses on the tracks between Milan and Grants. We request that Railroad contact our dispatch when this happens, and we'll communicate with BNSF agents more frequently. We were also offered some training on railroad procedures and how it could help us local law enforcement. Chief Ustupski is still with his chaplain program and utilized a couple of times for some of the hard calls that some of our officers have gone through the last couple of weeks. We have made it a priority and aggressively have to locate those lighting the fireworks in the community, which we're getting a lot of, especially late at night. Since the last meeting you guys had, we had no firework complaints. And that's pretty much all he has. If you guys have any questions for me or anything like that.
Any questions? No? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you guys. I'm gonna excuse myself. Okay, thank you guys. Have a good night.
You too. Okay, now we move to the approval of the minutes, Board of Trustees regular meeting, July 21st, 2022.
I'll make a motion to approve the Board of Trustees regular meeting on July 21st, 2022.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Trustee Lopez, second by Mayor Pro Tem Brumble. Trustee Archuleta.
Yes.
Trustee Mercer.
Yes.
Trustee Lopez.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brumble.
Yes.
Thank you. Presentation, Legacy Speedway, updates and information.
Hi, Mayor and Trustees. This is gonna sound like a pitch for funding because in the long run, that's what it is. I know you guys' funding is already over for this year, but you're gonna see me at these meetings probably for the rest of this year. So, basically, what I'm here in front of you today is Uranium Capital Speedway was constructed on the outskirts of Milan in 1968. In 69, it opened its doors for entertainment for the first time, offering good, clean family fun on hot summer nights throughout the summer and fall months, and continued to do so for 50 plus years. Then, like all businesses in New Mexico, it was shut down in early 2020. I felt with safety in mind, reaching out to our state elected officials and building a good, strong SOP that we would be able to continue business, but that was not the case at that time, as we knew it was a lot more than what we expected. What COVID meant for Uranium Capital Speedway, an entertainment business that solely funds itself from selling tickets to patrons. And not being able to do so was the beginning of the end, as it was later foreseen. But throughout sheer determination from myself and my board of directors at the time, we pulled together. We donated our own time. We donated our own funds. We were able to have a 2021 racing season. And although that season was very successful, we showed a lot of success during that season. We still struggled financially. You know, we just didn't make any money in 2020. So moving forward from that, I got with an attorney, I got with legal advice, and all of them told me your best option right now is to literally dismantle and rebrand. That hit really close to me because Uranium Capital Speedway had been a member of Milan and Cibola County for 50 plus years. But during the first part of this last decade, they had lost their nonprofit. That was considerably a hit on its own for a business like that not to be a nonprofit. And then with COVID, not being able to make any money and not having a nonprofit to apply for those coronavirus relief funds that were there for nonprofit businesses was pretty much a nail in the coffin. You know, I talked to several people. It was just not possible to see that speedway sustain and move forward without a nonprofit. Moving forward into this year, after that, with that being said, we decided to reach out to another attorney and rebrand the speedway. So we are rebranding the speedway currently. It was determined that Uranium Capital Speedway could not survive without its nonprofit. We rebranded the speedway. I was strongly against it, like I said, because it had been not only a stakeholder in the community, but it had been a stakeholder, me personally, growing up there, and my family actually had a lot to do with the original construction. With that being said, to give you a little bit of our past, current, and where we're going in the new era, as of July 11th, 2022, Legacy Speedway was born. It's a nonprofit 501c3 corporation that's sole purpose is entertainment, good family fun, with new safeguards put in place. So we literally decided that we were going to third party almost everything that had to do with taxes, with records, with filing, because that was where the failure point was before. So we took every measure we could to safeguard it and go through LegalZoom on that stuff. And there's very little opportunity for error now. So with that being said, I feel very comfortable that Legacy Speedway will live another 50 plus years like its predecessor. I'm sorry. Not a good speaker if you can't tell. Um, it's still a volunteer-based, member-owned and operated organization. It will serve as a better, safer option in the Milan, Grants, and Cibola County area to legal street racing, working with youth in the area to get them involved in the automotive industry and the interesting world of auto racing. So this year, moving forward into 2023, we've already got several partners in the juvenile youth area, not only from New Mexico, but from Arizona, where we're going to be seeing these young kids that are troubled and struggling in life, and they're in trouble. They're going to be coming down here to the Speedway. They're going to get involved. We're going to put them with somebody who's mellow and gentle, like George Baisden or somebody like that, that is just going to pour all of his knowledge into this young kid and get them interested. How the organization funds itself and operates is one of the most challenging aspects I've had to deal with. But through great community support, advertising both ways, us because we shop locally, and for them because we advertise for every business in town, whether they donate or not. Because, let's face it, we have to support our local businesses if we expect them to support us. That's half the battle won already. From donations and a small percentage of what we keep from our revenue that comes into the track is how we pay our bills. Donations come in all forms, not just money. We're currently working with a 1953 Ute water truck and an old 1968 military grader. The push truck is a 1978 Ford F-250 flatbed. All of these will need to be updated in the future. Now moving into the future, Legacy Speedway and bringing it up to the status that has long deserved will take an updating of different aspects of the Speedway. Auto racing has moved from old cars that just drive around and smoke and crash into each other. It's very competitive now. We have 5 speedways in New Mexico. Last year, Uranium Capital Speedway was ranked number 2 among those 5. We're second only to Vado, New Mexico, which is the NASCAR of New Mexico when it comes to dirt track racing. We're looking to push this speedway into that era. But we have to update equipment, not only equipment that you see, but equipment that you don't see, like scoring systems, our radio program and stuff like that. So that's why I stand in front of you, the trustees and the mayor and the village manager, is to let you know where we are, who we are, and that we're still here. Our goal in Cibola County and Milan is to keep our kids out of drugs, to keep them out of trouble. We see more and more drug-related problems with kids in today's world than we do with adults. It's more accessible for them. I want to get them hooked on race cars because they won't be able to afford drugs.
That's true.
It's an honest opinion. With that being said, I thank you for your time and for letting me come to your meeting.
Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much,
Do
sir.
y'all have any questions for me?
How many classes do you guys run out there?
So we run 5 classes. Currently this year we are not sanctioned. Next year we will be sanctioned by USRA, United States Racing Association. We run a hobby stock class, which is our entry-level class. We run a stock car class, which is a pretty advanced class. B-mod class, which is an entry-level modified class. And a modified class, which is a very advanced class. Our smallest car count that we've had here lately is in the mini sprint division. They look like they're going 900 mile an hour. They're going about 45. They sound really fast. That's where we're bringing our kids into. Most of the people that drive that division are under 13 years old.
Yeah, you guys do a real good job out there, and you guys bring in a lot of people from out of town.
We do.
A lot of people come from Gallup,
We're-
Flagstaff even.
Yep. With Vado, New Mexico, one thing that was never seen with that racetrack when they built it there is during fall nationals in October, they rent more motel rooms in Vado, Cruces, and Las Cruces and El Paso, Texas, than they do any other time of the year. We generally, on our 2-day shows, I'll bring in 500 to 700 people from out of town for 2 days. And that's a lot of the reason I got onto the board for the recreational outdoors, is because I need to know what to tell people they can do in Grants and Milan and, you know, all of Cibola County.
May I make a comment to him, if that's okay? I would welcome you to come to the Chamber of Commerce and do a presentation for us. And, working out relationships with the Village of Milan and Cibola County, we could help you with some of your promotional stuff, especially when you spoke of that many individuals coming to town, and we can start tracking when they stay in hotels and have real numbers to share with the Village of Milan. So I would, give us a little bit of time we're in the middle of an event and working on some things, but I would love for you to come to that Tuesday Chamber of Commerce, because this can be something that we can help.
Wonderful. I take all the help we can get, you know, and that's the beautiful thing with the racetrack is donations aren't only money to us. You know, it's help, it's equipment, it's just, you know, support sometimes. But of course, I'm not going to tell you money doesn't help. So it definitely does. But I know that you guys are done with your financial part for the physical year already. My deal was to get in here in front of you and let you know that we are still here. You're going to see new signs that say Legacy Speedway. It is Uranium Capital, but it has just transferred over. The Speedway was built on a 50-year dissolvation. So when Uranium Capital Speedway was built, they locked in their bylaws and they couldn't be changed. Time grew around the racetrack and swallowed it. So, you know, it was built to dissolve. We did not do that this time, so Legacy should be good to go for hopefully 100 years.
Yeah, if you guys never been out to the races, you got to get out to some of them. You guys will love it.
I encourage anybody who wants to come out Sunday. We're gonna put some races on.
We can share that too, the schedule. We can get that going on a calendar.
What time is it on Sunday?
We'll start at 2:00 Sunday afternoon.
2:00? Okay.
As long as the good Lord's willing and the creek don't rise. The rain's hurt us.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you, Mr.
Now we move to the action discussion items. First one will be acceptance of municipal court cash journal for July 2022.
I'll make a motion to accept the municipal court cash journal for July 2022.
I'll second.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Brumble, second by Trustee Archuleta. Trustee Lopez.
Yes.
Trustee Mercer.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brumble.
Yes,
Trustee Archuleta.
Yes.
Thank you. Approval of finance report.
So your finance report was included in your packets. Just go over some of the key points this month as it's for July 1st through the 31st. So it's just getting started into our new fiscal year. In GRTs, we received $292,081.48. In ITG, we received $8.96. And in our compensating tax, the CMP, we received $2,145.31. So it was up from the month before. All our accounts are in balance. Everything is going good so far. We had quite a bit of expense for the first month going into the new fiscal year because the budget had been closed, they needed supplies, and we were getting the pool up and running. So we did have pretty good expenses through July. We do still have 3 bank accounts open that are waiting to be closed. All the checks should expire, I guess, by November. If they are not cashed by then, what we will do is void them out and eschew the funds to the state, and then we can close those final 3 bank accounts. And I'm hoping that they'll clear before then, but it doesn't look like that. The year will be in November, so they have to be voided out by then. For our check certification, we paid 102 payables with a total of 67 payments in the month of July. We had 64 regular checks, 0 voided checks, and 1 bank draft. And our bank draft is always, as I said before, paying our GGRTs to the state of New Mexico. On the budget report, I wanted some direction on that. The budget report I usually include in your packets every month. I'm considering taking them out. It'll lower the usage of paper that we have in our packets monthly, and the full cash report gives you a big grand picture of it. And then if you ever want to see by department, we can pull it in my office or whatever. But I would still include those in quarterly reports. So I was looking for some direction on that one.
Could you send them to us electronically?
I can, yes.
I think that'd be fine if we get them electronically or not.
Yeah. And then that way we don't have to have them in the packet. Okay, yeah, I can do that.
That's okay. with
That's okay,
everybody else?
yeah.
All right. So I did notice yesterday our fourth quarter has been approved and our final budget has been approved with no errors. But I have not received the letter. As soon as I receive the letter, I will get all of you guys a copy. And that's all I have for that. You guys have any questions for me?
If not,
No.
right, I need a motion to approve.
Yes, report.
I'll second.
Motion by Mayor Pro Tem Brumble, seconded by Trustee Lopez. Trustee Mercer,
Yes.
Trustee Archuleta,
Yes.
Trustee Lopez,
Yes,
Mayor Pro Tem Brumble.
yes.
Thank you. Resolution 2022-031, bar number 1.
So the bar that we're presenting tonight is for all of the capital outlay funding, not all of it, what we've received agreements on so far. So this is just putting in the expense and the revenue for the capital outlay funding that we have agreed.
Okay,
If there's no questions, I'll make a motion to accept resolution 2022-031, bar number 1.
I'll second it.
motion by Trustee Archuleta, second by Trustee Lopez. Trustee Mercer,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brumble,
Yes.
Trustee Lopez,
Yes.
Trustee Archuleta.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we go to consideration of professional services contract with economic development.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, members of the board, we have done a professional service agreement, that I will run it through the attorney. And, we have given the economic development a copy of it, and we're waiting on them to send us back the approved contract on their side, which I haven't received yet, so, once it's signed, then with your signatures, it'll be a fully executed document. So tonight, we're asking that, even though we haven't got the signed copy from them, that you would approve this. And as soon as we get that signed copy, then we would ask your signature on it. And this is for $15,000, which is the amount that you all approved at a prior meeting.
Okay. Any questions? Do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the contract with economic development. I'll second it.
Motion by Trustee Archuleta, second by Trustee Mercer. Mayor Pro Tem Brumble,
Yes.
Trustee Lopez,
Yes.
Trustee Mercer,
Yes.
Trustee Archuleta.
Yes.
Thank you. Consideration of professional service contract with Chamber of Commerce.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, this is the same issue. We have provided them with a copy of the contract. We have not seen the signed copy back from them, but I'm asking that you would approve it prior to receiving that. It's for the $15,000 you did approve at the prior meeting. And we also have, I know there was some questions, so I also have Ms. Brenda here to answer any questions y'all may have.
Do we have any questions?
Um,
I do.
Go ahead.
I think, I know the night that you presented it, it was kind of fast and hurried. And I just would like to know, what are some of the things that you are planning on doing?
Okay, so working with the Village of Milan, we've already had a planning meeting, or I had a meeting with Linda and with finance and with the projects here to discuss what some of the possibilities are. And when you're working with the Chamber of Commerce, what we mainly are doing is coming up with the marketing ideas for the Village of Milan. And so that's what we talked about that day. And as a result of that, we've already completed one task for the Village of Milan. I knew the funding was approved. And by the way, we approved our contract today in our board meeting, so I can sign that document tonight. So it's ready to go on our end. But what we talked about is what kind of assets you have in the Village of Milan. And one happens to be your race track. Now that I'm hearing that presentation tonight, that's something that we definitely can help market. Especially what we would do is we would take on the task of tracking. So when we know there's a race in town, we can track hotel stays for you so that we can have that kind of information to share. But we mainly talked about things that you are possibly leaving on the table as far as the Village of Milan and promotion. And we talked about the historical 66 that day, mainly because the mining museum, we are tracking from we do these passport books that we started participating in. And the mining museum is a stamp location where all the tourists come through. And I can pass these around and you can look at them. The tourists come through, they receive a stamp at the mining museum that says they're stamping their trip on Old 66. So they get that. These things have taken off for us, and we are really tracking a lot of visits from this. So you have an opportunity here in town to become a stamp location too, but we have to do this creatively, which should start with the picture up. The city of Grants obviously is promoting their drive-through picture up. You can do that with less money by creating a board, a billboard type thing downtown somewhere where it does the same for you. And so we talked about that, and I actually have a company working on a possible design for you. So those are some of the things we can do to help you. We already have completed a tent card for your pool. The tent card, we designed it right after I had the meeting with you all, and we started emailing them so they could look at it. This tent card we already completed, and it will be in stock next week at the museum, at the Chamber of Commerce. The tent card will go in hotel rooms on the tables. It'll go in restaurants at their checkouts. And if restaurants agree, we may place these on some tables in the restaurants. And this is your pool schedule. I felt that this could be a draw to your community from tourists, because if there's tourists and even folks that come here to work for the week and have to stay here for meetings or whatever, if they like to swim laps, now they've got information regarding your pool in the hotels they stay in. So we've got that done and ready to distribute. They should land in our lap next week. We're going to go out and get them passed out. As a result of this design, Tammy, who happens to work on all this stuff for me, Tammy put you a little QR code on there that says scan me. So now if your times happen to change, if they scan that QR code, it leads them to your page where it has your pool information and your times on there. So we've already completed that work as well. So this is already an invoice and a report and something I would bill you for, obviously, through the Chamber of Commerce, through the funding that you've provided me. So we already accomplished this much for you. The next step is to come up with some billboard designs. And what we first need to do is decide what is going to be something we want them to come off the highway and stop in the Village of Milan for. And it could be as simple as even a snapshot of your pool. We could talk about anything that's nonprofit that we can promote within the village on a billboard for you. So that's some of the work we're doing. I will be happy to come and report statistics like stays in the hotels. And obviously the hotels are in the city of Grants, but that is still a draw that you're pulling to the overall community. The other thing the Chamber of Commerce wants to do is we want to form more work with the county, the city, the village that benefits everybody as a whole. So I want to be that center of collaboration for you so that I can be a voice for you when we're talking about what we need to do to promote the area, which also I have my own committee as part of the outdoor rec. I've been assigned a group to work with the outdoor rec planning for the county, city, and the village of Milan. And I will tell you, I am an advocate for you, whether I had funding from you or not. My thought is the village of Milan has got to be a player in this planning that we're doing.
I did have a suggestion
Yes.
on the billboard. Maybe you could mention gateway to Chaco Canyon, because that is,
Okay, so we do have Chaco Canyon has been something we've promoted. And what we are doing through this outdoor rec planning is we're talking about, okay, so we believe that other organizations also advertise Chaco Canyon in the same pool, and we have the brochures in our office with QR codes that tell people to open up a map and how they will get there. So there's a lot of that going on. What we are thinking we want to do, and what the billboard companies are now advising, is that you don't stick a billboard out that's too busy. You have something that attracts them to that, and it says exit here, or it says for more information. And we as we work together, we also talked about a possible visitor center for you all. Where could that be, and what could it be? This is stuff that you're talking 3-5 year, some planning that goes into it, and some grant writing projects that we could do. The chamber would be 100% excited to help lead those kind of projects for you or work with you. And I believe Linda may want to talk, but we kind of put together a committee for the Village of Milan that'll work with me, knowing that you're a smaller group of people. And so I think that we could really come up with some really good plans and for the future. Is there any, did I answer that for you regarding?
yes, you did. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
And I can sign the contract.
Thank you. Okay, resolution 20.
But we need a vote on that contract.
Oh, yes, I'm sorry.
I'll make a motion to accept the contract with Chambers of Commerce.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by Trustee Archuleta, second by Mayor Pro Tem Brumble. Trustee Mercer.
Yes.
Trustee Lopez.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brumble.
Yes.
Trustee Archuleta.
Yes.
Thank you. Resolution 2022-033, ICIP.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, this is something that we're required to do every year, and it's in regard to funding. If we have something on the ICIP.
Yeah, I added.
And I believe I went and made a list because I didn't see it in the packet, but we have a list here of the priorities for this year. And if you will notice, the wastewater improvements, swimming pool improvement, heavy equipment purchase, Milan Park improvements, Willow Drive improvements, Airport Road and Bridge improvements, and Elkins Road improvements and police vehicles. Water conservation and drought contingency plan, Milan Industrial Park are all have been identified for the first year. And this is for year 2024. But in order to allow us to submit, we have to have you to pass the resolution that will allow us to do so. But our funding is contingent upon having, most of our funding is contingent upon having this document to the state. Denise, did you have anything further?
Just if you guys have questions.
Any questions? Do I hear a motion?
Brandon is here as well, if you have anything for him. He is actually helping us with the ICIP. He's done the legwork on the financial numbers and stuff, what we've received and what we're looking at asking for.
If there's no questions, I'll make a motion to accept resolution 2022-033 ICIP.
I'll second the motion.
Motion by trustee Archuleta, seconded by, Mayor Pro Tem Brumble. Trustee Mercer,
Yes.
trustee Lopez.
Yes.
Trustee Archuleta,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brumble.
Yes.
Thank you. Consideration of purchase for off-road vehicles and equipment for fire department.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, this is something that we need to approve in order to get it into our budget. We received the actual fully executed contracts on these 3 items. That was the police vehicle. Or did you want to do one at a time?
One at a time.
One at a time,
They've got to vote
okay.
on these separate, because
The
they're
fire
separate.
department, we received the fully executed contract for the equipment to be purchased for the fire department for off-road equipment, which will aid them in going to a fire that can't be reached basically by a four-wheeled vehicle or their trucks. This will give them the extra mobility. Chief, do you have any additional comment?
No, not really.
Okay,
So what we're asking for is an approval to 411 Equipment LLC in the amount of $50,028.20.
That's just for this one?
That's just the off-road vehicle with the equipment on it.
Does it have to be a Can-Am?
and this is junior money, so.
I'm just saying, CF Moto makes really nice side-by-sides now.
No.
I have one.
Have you guys ever had to do a rescue up on the mesa?
That's another reason. See, Grants Fire has a UTV, and so does the county. But the county's UTV right now is not even being utilized. With this UTV, we've assisted with a rescue up on the mesa before, and out at Blue Water, all over. And with ours, we're gonna equip it with fire extinguishment and with rescue. We'll actually put a basket on it and do some rescue. A lot of the guys on the department are rope rescue and mine rescue trained. My plan is to get them certified through the state academy and get actual certification for rescue, and then also with the fires out in the mountains and stuff like that. We'll put that on the RMP list, and we will get paid to utilize that.
Do you know how kids are? They tend to go up on the wrong side. My grandson did that. That's why Grants had to rescue him.
Help with the lady one time. Not right up behind McDonald's.
I seen GPD got a little side-by-side there that they use at the schools now. I thought that was pretty neat. Saving money on gas, that's for sure.
Any other questions, comments? No?
We're voting on approving this, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so if no questions, I'll make a motion to accept the purchase of a off-road vehicle and equipment for fire.
I'll second it.
Motion by trustee Archuleta, second by trustee Lopez. Mayor Pro Tem Brumble.
Yes.
Trustee Mercer.
Yes.
Trustee Lopez.
Yes.
Trustee Archuleta.
Yes.
Thank you. Next, we have a consideration of purchase of vehicle and equipment for police department.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, members of the board, this is also a fully executed contract we're asking you to approve for these purchases. And it is also junior money. And what we would purchase is, what the police department would purchase would be a 2022 Dodge Charger, 4-wheel drive. And it would be equipped. And that will basically expend the whole $50,000 that we have been awarded. And there will be a balance for some equipment, above this, and I believe that will be, just $1,000 that will come out of their law enforcement protection fund.
Was it in the budget for the law enforcement for the 50,000 or was
Oh, that's junior money.
that's junior money?
This is- Yeah, it's
Okay.
junior money.
And this is the resolution for the bar number 1 that you just agreed to.
Okay,
This is
that's
included
like,
in that. This purchase is gonna require 2 separate motions. One of them is for the car for Malloy Dodge for $34,968. The other is for the equipment from Whack Upfitters in the amount of $15,956.55.
How much?
$15,956.55. So because it's 2 separate vendors, we need to include both of them in your motion.
was there a requisition for the second part?
Yes, it's in your packet.
It was, okay.
If there's no other questions, I'll make the motion to accept the purchase of the vehicle from Malloy and also the equipment fitting from, what was this vendor name?
WAC, WAC.
From WAC.
I will second the motion.
I have a quick question. Who is the vehicle going to get assigned to?
I do not know.
Motion by trustee Chuleta, seconded by Mayor Pro Tem Brumble. Trustee Mercer,
Yes.
trustee Lopez.
Yes.
Trustee Chuleta,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brumble.
Yes.
Thank you.
My guess it'll be with one of the older officers. You promised to be nice.
Okay, we'll move on to consideration of equipment for Kearns Field Park improvements.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, this is also junior money. And we are proposing to put a net up to protect not only the village of Milan, but the houses by the baseball field. And Denise, would you proceed?
So now that we have 2 fields at Kearns Field, one of the baseball fields doesn't have a backstop, and it is adjacent to the housing addition that's right next to it. So what we're wanting to do is put up a safety net. This does, because of the height, have to be engineer stamped. So we went out to Tri-West Fence, who is state licensed, or state contracted, I'm sorry, to furnish the equipment and install. So they're willing to do this for the amount of $54,700, and that will come out of your Kearnsfield Junior Money Grant, which is $130,000.
Okay, any other questions, comments?
And now, if no other questions, I'll make the motion also to accept the equipment purchases for the Kearns Park improvements.
I'll second it.
Motion by trustee Chuleta, second by trustee Lopez. Trustee Mercer,
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Brumble.
Yes.
Trustee Chuleta,
Yes.
trustee Lopez. Okay, next we have, we have,
Presentation.
And they're not here yet? Let me go.
I think they're back there.
Are they?
Okay, we have Mustafa D. Tapnaf Consulting LLC presentation and acceptance of Milan Municipal Water Rights Report.
You can sit here.
Thank you, guys.
Mr. Mayor, members of the board, good to see everyone again. With me tonight is Mr. Pachetnoff, Mr. Pachetnoff Consulting. Mustafa is a hydrologist. Wears many hats. He's a trained hydrologist. He's also a water rights consultant. I've worked with Mustafa off and on for many years in my work as a water lawyer representing various clients. Mustafa tonight is going to discuss his evaluation of Milan's municipal water rights portfolio. The results and conclusions of his evaluation are set forth in the memorandum to my attention, which you should have a copy of. Before I turn it over to Mustafa, maybe I should just give a little bit of background to how we came to have Mustafa do this work for the village. In the course of my work representing the village in the Rio San Jose stream system adjudication, I had to familiarize myself with Milan's water rights portfolio. This is a case, it's a water rights adjudication, so I needed to learn about my client's water rights. In the course of educating myself, I discerned a few different things. One is that there's some apparent uncertainty, some discrepancies in the state engineer's files for Milan's water rights. And part of that, I think, is attributable to the way that these water rights were developed and came to be owned by Milan. You know, a lot of these started out as irrigation rights. They predated the state engineer's jurisdiction over this basin, and they were developed by Mr. Milan and others, and then later were conveyed to the village. And so there's some inconsistent information and some gaps in the state engineer's file. And it was my conclusion and recommendation to Linda Cook that we do a water rights evaluation or audit of the village's municipal water rights, so we could get a handle on what we think the village actually has, and to the extent, you know, our opinion differs from the state engineer, we can try to reconcile those differences. Another reason that we asked Mustafa to do his evaluation is for planning purposes. Obviously, you know, the village needs to know what it has, whether it has sufficient water rights for future growth, whether it can, you know, serve domestic users into the future, and it'll also help the village make decisions about future economic development, possible commercial, industrial, other potential customers of your municipal water system. You want to know, you know, whether you have the ability to serve customers now and into the future. And so for planning purposes, it's a good idea to do this kind of audit. So I turned over my files to Mustafa. He already had a pretty extensive file on Milan, and I will turn it over to him to highlight his evaluation.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the board, staff. Thank you for having me here. As Brett indicated, I had already developed an extensive set of documents pertaining to your water rights because I was also involved with their previous water rights lawyer, Rebecca Dempsey, when she was taking the lead representing you in the adjudication. So most of these documents are available through the state engineer's website, so anybody can access them. And then I had access to a few other documents that were internal to the village that had been provided to Rebecca, and then which she shared with me. So my review was based on looking at all of these documents. There are a few gaps in the documents, and we can get into a little bit of detail later on, and I'm sure Brett can advise how to proceed to address those gaps if that's how you want to proceed. But let me give you so first of all, I guess my question is whether you all have with you a copy of my memorandum. I believe the most recent version should be dated June 20th, July 11th. Okay. Okay, I think that's they're fairly, no substantive changes. So let me give you some bottom line numbers and then we can go through the details and I don't know how you'd like to, you can stop me anytime and ask questions or really, I'm here to kind of work with you whichever way you would like to proceed. So the and also what I looked at, what I paid careful attention to was that in 1993 and then more recently, in the context of the village's application for capital outlay funds, it typically requires a state engineer to provide some supporting documentation that the village has valid water rights and that those water rights are in good standing. So when the state engineer office conducted its review, they came up with two different numbers. Back in 1993, state engineer staff identified the village as controlling 451 acre feet of water rights associated with its municipal system. More recently, I guess that would have been at the beginning of this year, in the context of your application for capital outlay funding, the state engineer identified, and I'm just rounding things, 422 acre feet of water rights associated with municipal use, and then an additional just shy of 600 acre feet associated with an irrigation water right. What I found is that the city has 975 acre feet of diversion and consumptive use right in its municipal wells. An additional 57 acre feet, again rounded, associated with the well located in the Golden Acres subdivision. And then a further 46 acre feet that's currently associated with wells used by Homestake just north of town, and those that water right's been used on and off part of the remediation project. So these are the three sets of water rights. The Homestake water right is still only authorized for industrial use, so it has not been changed into a municipal water right. The 57 acre feet associated with the Golden Acres subdivision, that's still associated with one well. That's the B28 well. It's the northernmost well that's located within or adjacent to the subdivision, but over time that well has been integrated into your infrastructure, and it's my understanding that well is one of your key wells that's used on a day-to-day basis. And the record shows that the village never filed an application to transfer those water rights or to integrate that well into the municipal water system. So what I can tell you is that you have 975 acre feet of water rights that have gone through permitting process with the state engineer office, where they've had the opportunity to review those water rights as to their validity and their amount, the priority date, and those have been recognized through permitting process, and those are integrated into all of your wells. I don't know if these numbers will mean anything to you, but it's B21, B22, B23, and B35. So there, you do have permits in hand that allows you to, what we call combine and commingle those water rights. So those water rights can be used throughout your water system, which is defined as within the village limits and adjoining or adjacent areas. Those water rights are subject to what's called filing of beneficial use. So once you've reached in any given calendar year, you've actually used your entire water rights, it's incumbent on you to file what's called an application or proof of beneficial use, which demonstrates you fully use the water rights, and it provides you an additional level of security moving forward, as you may want to change how those water rights are used. It provides an additional layer of protection, but you're not there yet. I think your most recent data show that you're around 680, you're shy of 700 acre feet that you've put to beneficial use. So you still got a ways to go before you can file a proof of beneficial use. And what you do in the interim is once every 3 years you file what are called applications for extension of time, which I understand you recently did, which allows you to, basically you're going on record saying that you've got plans to use that water, but you need additional time. In addition, as a municipality, you have coverage through your 40-year, what's called the 40-year water development plan. So as long as you keep that plan updated, you have a conservation plan acceptable to the state engineer office, then it should be fairly routine for the state engineer to keep issuing you these extensions of time. With respect to the Golden Acres water rights, the 57 acre feet, my advice is that you would file an application with the state engineer to integrate both that well and those water rights into your system. Those are valid water rights. I believe they went through I'm trying to see, they also went through a permitting process, and let me see. Okay, okay, they are licensed. Okay, so you will need to file an application to integrate that well and water rights into the system. I mean, physically you've already done so, but there's always a risk that you might get called out on it. But there is a simple cure. You'd have to go through the water right transfer process, and that's a public process. You file an application, it gets noticed, and then of course folks can come out of the woodworks and protest if they're so inclined. And I have no idea what your relationship is with the Golden Acres subdivision, or there's a little bit of question about the chain of title for those water rights, at least based on the limited documents on file with the state engineer office. It's not quite clear if the folks who own the other shares in, there are associated water rights under that file, and they were conveyed to other folks, and hopefully everybody's clear as to what their share is, and no issues are raised in that respect. And then there's the homestake water right, which you, again, if you wanted to use that water right, I don't know if you really want to use it from the well it's currently associated to. You do not own the well. That well is owned by homestake, but you do own the water rights. And unless there's some type of a contractual obligation between the village and homestake, then it's up to you to take the initiative to transfer those water rights into your municipal wells. And if the state engineer approves that, it should be a 1-for-1 transfer. So at their current location, you have 46 acre feet, and the 46 acre feet should be fully transferable. What your current capacity of your wells, I'm not sure. I went through the engineering reports. I guess Wilson and Company had prepared a number of evaluations of your existing wells. So whether or not your existing wells actually have the capacity to produce all this water is not certain. But these water rights, you could still transfer them into the existing wells, and then down the road you can always file applications for supplemental wells or replacement wells to improve your production capacity. So the bottom line is you have 975 acre feet firm in hand that you just keep in good standing. Once every 3 years, file for extensions of time. Golden Acres, 57 acre feet, it's already been integrated into the system. You just need to get that on the books. The Homestake, 46 acre feet, is probably a longer term proposition. Depending on your relationship with the Pueblos, you know, they may question whether or not transferring those water rights into municipal wells would adversely impact their plans and their existing or future wells. One way to limit that impact is to maybe limit that transfer to the Golden Acres wells or future wells that you would drill on the north side of town, further away from where the Pueblos are proposing to install their wells. Did I miss anything, or?
I think you,
Yeah.
I think you covered it. Yeah, I mean, the one thing I would underscore that Mustafa said is this need to file an application with the state engineer to integrate the B49, actually B50 well, into your municipal system. Right now, as I understand it, you're relying primarily on that well. That's your main producer. And that well is only permitted for diversion of about 57 acre feet. Now, the village files meter readings with the state engineer. State engineer is aware that you guys are pumping more water from that well. They're not making an issue of it. They have, you know, much bigger fish to fry, but technically it is a compliance issue. So Mustafa and I would both recommend that, you know, first order of business is to file that application to combine and commingle that well and that right with your other 975 acre feet of municipal.
And I spoke to our attorney, and we're going to start working on that right away.
That's it.
Which well was that?
B50.
It's the northernmost well.
Okay. So, and just to kind of build again off what Mustafa said, you have 975 acre feet of permitted municipal rights in hand under that one permit in good standing. And then you have approximately 100 acre feet additional. One is the B50 right, the other is the homestake right that you could, and with one of those you will add to your system. So that's, you know, potentially the limit of your municipal water rights portfolio. You're using somewhere in the range of 600 to 650 acre feet of that a year. So the balance is your surplus. And that surplus, you know, is there for future growth in the town.
Emergency
future,
use.
What's that?
Emergency use.
Emergency use, any and all municipal related uses. And under the penumbra, the umbrella of municipal, you have domestic, commercial, industrial, any of those uses within the municipal service area are
potentially permissible uses. And so, you know, the next step based upon this work is to evaluate where you are and use that in planning, both for the utility, the water utility, and also potential economic development. I know the village, you're working on a new 40-year plan that you're required to prepare as a municipality. And this work that Mustafa has done will go right into that. So that box is already checked.
Is it Wilson and Company that's doing the 40-year plan, or?
I believe it is.
Okay, so we'll want to coordinate with them and let them know
Yeah.
that we've got, to the extent there's a question about what the village has, that we can plug this in. Oh, let me add one other thing. So Mustafa did note that there's some inconsistencies between what he found and what's in the state engineer file. I am trying to schedule a meeting with the District 1 manager, Wayne Cannon, to go through Mustafa's memo in the file and try and iron those out so that we're all singing from the same.
That'll tell us where's it, about 30 acre feet, somewhere like that, went between 1993 and now?
Well, the 1993 review is clearly out of date, so
Right.
I'm just putting it here to provide you with some perspective. So what's of more concern is the most recent review that was went into the record with the Water Trust Board. And that's the much smaller number of 422 acre feet. So we want to make sure that we can get them on the same page with this higher number. And if not, then they're going to have to explain to us. Yeah, why? You know, I mean, we're relying on their records and their permits. And there are things. I mean, it's a little difficult. It's some of these water rights sort of have a complex history. They're subject of litigation, and in terms of you know, the water rights was conveyed to multiple parties, and it wasn't clear what share ultimately belonged to the village versus I guess what's now Plains Electric. So we think, I think I've got it all sorted out. So I feel pretty good about my review. I know Wayne personally for many years, and he's you know, we'll get a fair review out of him, and we'll also give him a heads up with your permission regarding some of the proposed applications that we'd like to come in with, just to kind of get a first reaction. He's not going to make any promises, but at least get an initial reaction from him in terms of whether the state engineer office will give us any pushback. I mean, obviously we can't control what other parties may do once they see a public notice.
Does the board have any questions?
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening, Mayor and trustees and staff. I have a question. Does this evaluation include the Milan Industrial Park, the 675 to 900 acres that the village owns?
This is just domestic water rights.
Oh, so it doesn't include.
It did not include the irrigation.
Okay.
I did, and we did take a look at those, and there's, we know the Pueblos have indicated that they believe most, if not all of these water rights were lost through an extended period of non-use. I mean, Brett can speak to what he thinks of that, but my review of historic aerial photographs demonstrates, I think, an extended period of use. And compared to other situations where I've dealt with state engineer finding water rights have been abandoned, or forfeited, that certainly a portion of these water rights, in my opinion, should be determined to be valid, but to what extent, that wasn't part of the scope of my work.
Thank you.
Okay. If no other questions, thank you for your presentation. Now we need a motion to accept the Milan Municipal Water Rights Report. Yes.
Let, Mr. Olson, continue with his part of the presentation.
I just wanted to give you an update on the status of the settlement process since you approved the settlement agreement back in May. With your permission, I can be quick about it.
Sure.
So, since May, and remember, May is when Milan and the other local settlement parties all executed the settlement agreement. There've been a couple of developments, and I'm just going to report on these two items. The first is that we are now in the process of trying to obtain federal approval of the settlement agreement. You may recall from my earlier presentations that really two main functions of the settlement agreement. One is to settle the Pueblo's water rights claims, Laguna and Acoma, and the other is to provide federal funding for wet water projects so that they can use those water rights. So in order for the settlement agreement to become final, because the United States is trustee of the Pueblos and holds their water rights in trust, the United States has to approve the settlement agreement on behalf of the Pueblos. They have to approve the settlement of the claims, and then Congress has to appropriate the money for those Pueblo projects. So what that means is that we have to get legislation enacted by Congress and signed into law. So that's where we are over the past couple of months, settlement parties, and this is, again, this is Milan, Grants, the Acequias, the two Pueblos, and the United States, but they're kind of on the side in this a little bit more. We drafted federal legislation. We submitted it to the Secretary of the Interior's Indian Water Rights Office. We got their comments and markup back. We revised the legislation. It also went to the Senate Legislative Council. We got their comments revised per their markup. Additionally, since in order to get legislation in Congress, you have to have a sponsor, we have been meeting over the past couple of months with staff for New Mexico's entire congressional delegation. We've met with staff for Representative Harrell, Stansberry. We actually met virtually last week with Congresswoman Ledger Fernandez, and we've met with staff for both Senators Benedict and Heinrich. And at this point, I am pleased to say that we have, I believe, a commitment from Congresswoman Ledger Fernandez to sponsor the legislation on the House side, and Senator Heinrich is going to sponsor it on the Senate side. And we are hoping to get subcommittee hearings next month, starting next month. And if we're able to pull that off, I think there's better than a puncher's chance that we will get this enacted by Congress this calendar year. And then we're not home free, but we're substantially through that process, finalizing. So the only other thing I wanted to report on is the settlement negotiations with the Navajo Nation. And so, as you know, our local settlement agreement that you signed is a settlement of Laguna and Acoma's claims. Navajo Nation has historic water uses in the Rio San Jose stream system in this groundwater basin, and they're parties in the adjudication case. However, they never got involved in the settlement negotiations process that's been going on for like 15 years until really like the 11th hour. And they came in really when we were finalizing this settlement agreement with the Pueblos, wanting to resolve their claims. So to avoid delay in settling the Pueblos claims, and in order to try and capture the window we have to get this done this year, the parties agreed that we would deal with Navajo's claims, but they would not be part of this settlement agreement that you have already signed. We would try to evaluate and negotiate a settlement of those claims on an expedited basis and get that done. They can jump on board the federal legislation, but if not, then, that's what's going to happen on a different schedule. So that's all mostly happened in the last couple months. We've been meeting with the attorneys for the Navajo Nation. They only recently presented their water rights claims. And I can't really get into the specifics because all these negotiations are covered by the confidentiality agreement for the settlement. But what I can say is that settlement of the Navajo Nation's water rights claims, I think it can occur on an expedited basis. I think because we can cut and paste 99% of what we already agreed to with the Pueblos into this Navajo piece. So that I'm optimistic that I can probably have settlement terms to present to the board. So these are settlement terms on the Navajo's water rights claims. I can have those for you to consider within a few months. That's all I have. Happy to answer any questions.
Any questions? Okay, we still need a motion to accept Milan Municipal Water Rights Report.
I'll make the motion to accept the municipal water rights report.
And I'll second.
Motion by trustee Archuleta, second by trustee Mercer. Mayor Pro Tem Brumbault.
Yes.
Trustee Lopez.
Yes.
Trustee Mercer.
Yes.
Trustee Archuleta.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for your work.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we go to updates, village manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of the board. I have here the water report and the total gallons pumped in the wells was 15,133. 15,133,850 gallons. And that was for the municipal. So, and they've been, the streets department, utilities have been working real hard and keeping up with everything that has to be done. They've had several customers that they've had to visit with, some for sewer leaks, some for other issues, but they're staying on top of that. Also, the streets have been working really hard trying to keep up with it. We just hired a new street manager. He's an employee that has moved up into that position, and we're looking forward to having a better avenue by which to maintain the streets and keep the potholes and such taken care of. Everybody's been very overwhelmed. We're working on weed control. As you can tell, there's weeds popping up all over. But the crews are doing a great job with the manpower they have. So our mechanic has been working on several different vehicles. He's staying very busy with that. We hired a new animal control person. And forgive me, I don't remember his name. He just went to work today. or yesterday, I believe it was. Wanted to report on the meeting that we had with economic development. Yeah, it's after the projects. Oh, there it is. So one of the things we talked about since the pool is up and running, we talked about putting these, they call them tents, in the restaurants and the motels to try to let people know that the pool is open and that it's available. So we're working with them, and they developed this, and it's in your packet. Also, I think if you could put them in the beauty shop.
She left.
She's
Oh,
She left.
Okay. I got my back to everybody. I don't know what happened. So, but they're going to get a few of these and put them in. We developed the schedule, a software schedule, which may be changing in and or about Labor Day. So we'll have to see what we can accommodate. We're trying to increase the hours and the days that we have the pool open. We've also talked about developing a dog park for people that are coming through. We're looking at maybe putting it over here at this vacant land behind the old gas station, and using the Route 66, which we're still developing and talking about developing a something to bring people in, something to do for the passport, so that they have a chance for a photo op. If they have animals, they would be able to rest their animals there for a little bit. And we would develop cleaning stations. Miss Candy here has actually sit down and developed a pretty good plan, which I have on my curtain in my office, if you want to stop by and look at it. But these are just, everything in this part is just speculation. We're looking at the cost, we're looking at the availability and the possibility of doing those particular things. Denise, Candy, and I have been meeting with Miss Brenda. So, and we will continue because we have management, finance, and projects. So we will keep you informed on what's going on there.
Are you going to incorporate the painting on this wall, on the villages wall? Because that was done by hand, I think.
Yeah, but I don't think that was one of the things that we had discussed. We had discussed something that was more of even though this is a photo op, we discussed something that is a little bit different, because we want to incorporate not only something that will draw people, but something that will complement the village.
So to be a part of the passport for Route 66, it has to actually be on 66. So it'll have to be one of the villages.
Oh, right on 66. Okay, okay.
But it still gives them a chance to stop and look around.
Yeah.
Because until I actually come for interviews, I didn't even realize that this was the village hall. Even though I've driven down the street, I never noticed it. So, but we're trying to bring everything that we can into play to assist the village to improve the status. I've asked economic development to focus on these buildings that we have on Route 66, because there is a great potential there. And, there's a lot of empty buildings that can be reutilized for a lot of different things that would improve the village and the citizens.
Well, maybe we can get that guy to paint on one of the buildings on this building up here at 66 once we get it. If it's gonna become a dog park or whatever, maybe he could do something on that.
Yeah, I'm not sure what we're going to be doing. It's, of course, all gonna depend on dollars.
Yeah.
And, as, Ms. Brenda was talking about, the billboards that, I believe have already been ordered. Oh, they're in design, okay. So they're in design. But we're going to move forward and, see what we can do to improve our beautiful little community, which is very family oriented.
How far are we on the bank building? Old bank,
The roofing construction's supposed to start Monday.
Monday.
For that on her curtain as well.
I have the plans on that too, because Candy was able to design those too. She has a program that allows her to do that. And she's very good at the design. So we all got together and kind of incorporated, and she designed. So, and with that, I stand for questions.
Talk about nitrogen tests. Did we do that for our sewer system?
We did do some of that, yes. We did do that. We haven't heard back as
For the numbers?
yet. But I'm thinking that it's going to probably be another week before we do hear from that. They did do that and did it. They had to drive samples into
Albuquerque. Yeah, that's a whole ridiculous conversation in itself. So. Grants is a whole nother conversation.
I don't think we'll go there tonight.
No,
We'll keep that.
I just wanted to talk about Milan.
Anybody else?
Before you move on, can we go into projects just a little bit? We got some great news today. As you all know, we've been working on Airport Road. Construction for that is set to begin Monday. There's a traffic plan posted on the Facebook and the website. If you guys if you want to look at it, or if you want me to print you a copy, I can. We were awarded the Water Trust Board funding for the bridge. That'll be phase 2. And today we got news from the RTPO that TPF has actually granted us $1,195,000 for phase 3. So there's a zero match on that. We were granted the match waiver as well. So it looks like we will be able to do the entire corridor very soon. Starting Monday.
Nice.
Good news.
That's
on
great.
Elkins Road, I'm sorry, Kearnsville, we have received some junior money and some capital outlay money. So we received 130,000 in junior and 50,000 in capital. We did do the award tonight for the 56,000, which leaves us a positive balance. And I need direction from you all as to what you would like me to do next. I know that the grant agreement says lighting. I don't know how much lighting we're going to be able to do. I don't know if you want me to throw that all into design for lighting. It's a ball field, so it's gonna need design. None of us can do it right off the top of our head, just throw some lights out there, because it's gotta meet certain specifications because it's a field.
We were looking at solar lighting, similar to what they have in First Street.
That,
Are we putting fencing out there to divide the fields?
they're already divided. There's
They're
already
divided?
fences. Mhm. So, we have some improvements that are needed. Felix, Mayor and I had talked about it. The concession needs some updates. The restrooms, for some reason, have no power. The lights are not working in there. We did not get anybody to troubleshoot it just yet. we had talked about maybe a possibility of putting some dugouts for the second field, some temporary, even if they're just made out of chain link, something like that. So I just need to know which direction you all want me to go. Do you want me to put it into design, or do you want me to do something else? So we don't have to vote on it or anything right now. We can think about it and just let me know. And to go back to Airport Road, as Linda was saying, we are looking at, there is a positive balance on that grant. And I had a meeting, Linda and I had a meeting today with DOT and Wilson and Company to see about putting some solar lights similar to First Street down the first section of that corridor. We will have to pay the design services, so I'm waiting for a task order to see what that's going to cost us first. That will have to be paid by the village. And then the lights can be included as part of the construction with that positive balance of the grant. So that's all I have. If you guys have questions.
Sounds good.
Now, Candy provided you with the expenses for the swimming pool. Did you have any questions about that before we move on?
No.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, we'll move on to the fire chief.
Good afternoon, Mayor, Board of Trustees. You have my report. I'm not going to elaborate too much on that. You guys never have questions for me anyway. First off, I brought in some awards that we had won when we went to Tri-State Firemen's Convention in Colorado at the beginning, well, just a couple weeks ago in August. We've been a member of that convention and that association for over 30 years. And it's been a privilege to go out there and train with a bunch of different departments from Colorado, Arizona, and New Mexico. And then, as usual, we have a friendly competition. And to save money, these guys handmade these trophies that we won. Out of 11 teams, we came in third. We go up against big cities. Some of these guys, they're full-time firefighters. And I just wanted to show you guys that we, with our training that you guys allow us to do and go do so much training, and these guys just volunteers, and they're not just volunteers, they come and they donate their time and efforts. We come and show them we're not that little. We can hold our own around. And with that, we get camaraderie with the other departments and stuff. Showing off, yes, we won some good trophies there. And we took third. Just a little bit on the construction at the fire station. It has really taken off lately. I did have to do a change order to add some more power outlets on the walls in the offices and drops for the internet network cabling. I figured I better spend the money now and do it while the walls were apart and there's no sheetrock on the walls than go in and tear up the walls, pay somebody to do it, and then pay somebody to fix the walls again. To me, it wasn't worth it. That should be the last change order I see coming. So after the inspection of the electrical, they should start putting up drywall and then flooring. They did cut out for the windows. The windows frames are in, but the glass is coming in not till September, I believe. They were actually expecting that in November, but the glass will be here about a month early, so it won't look so bad. If you guys haven't driven by there, I got boards up in the windows and doors, and thanks to Police Chief Carl, I asked him to help me patrol my fire station because that's easy access for anybody that was trying to get in there. He parked a unit there for me as a deterrent. And the officers have been real good about going by since my camera system is down as well. So it doesn't help. And we've had some break-ins, I hear. I got too much money in that department and in assets, and I don't want them stealing nothing. Thank you for the consideration for the purchase of that vehicle. I explained a little bit earlier about it. We just started the Cibola County hazard mitigation plan, and that was brought up as well. In that hazard mitigation plan, we want to try to eliminate any hazards or mitigate hazards that may come up. As you guys know, climate change is coming. It's been happening. We were in a drought. Now all of a sudden we're having flooding in other areas besides. We haven't had any in Milan, just a very slight scare. But if that ever happens, I mean, equipment like that's going to come in handy to help get elderly people out of their homes or take food to the elderly people that can't make it up the roads, up on the hill. Rescues, like you said, Ms. Roseanne. I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. And yes, it is expensive, but we want nothing but the best for our community. Other than that, I don't have anything else, unless you guys have any questions.
Questions? Thanks, sir.
Thank you, Daniel.
That's it. Thank you.
Moving on to the board comments. We'll start with Trustee Mercer. No comment. Trustee Chuleta.
Well, I'll start off by saying thank you to everybody. Thank you for having people show up here at the meeting. It's a good thing to look around and see people here and getting involved with the community. Uranium Capital Speedway, or now what was it called again? Legacy Speedway. Thank you guys for what you guys do out there. I know you guys work pretty much by yourselves, like you said, volunteer, and I've seen the work you guys do out there, and I've seen the people you guys bring into town, and there's a lot of people that come out here, and they stop at Love's and put gas and get food and stuff like that. So, hopefully a lot more people get out to the races. Hopefully pretty soon you're having to add on to the bleachers. So hopefully there's more room for people. I read in the paper about the Metropolitan PD idea thing. I just want to say it's a stupid idea. I think Milan would suffer. Whatever's going on with that, just my opinion. I think we have a really good department right now. Milan's getting patrolled and it's getting taken care of. I think it'd be forgotten about if we were to expand and we'd worry more about the county and grants than we would about Milan. Let's see. Hold your families close, guys. School started. Careful with the kids. Don't drink and drive. Excuse me, I'm gonna be a little choked up here. I'd like to thank our police department for working on our pursuit policy here in town. I lost a very good friend and his wife to a drunk driver. I'm not one for emotions, but that one hit really close to home. It's not only safer for the public and the community, but for the police officers as well. You know, just watch your kids and be safe. On a happier note, we got 41 kids this year for football, 10 to 12-year-olds. And I don't know the exact number on the little kids, but we were able to make 2 teams for a 10 to 12-year-old group of kids for tackle football. They're the Little Pirates, so I'm really grateful to see that. It's good to get kids out there and involved in things like the man from the Speedway was saying. You know, our kids are our future. I never thought I'd be sitting here, and thank God for praying mothers, because I am now today. And high school football is going on right now. Good luck this weekend to JV and varsity boys and girls. all of the sports that are going on with the high school right now. If you guys get a chance, get out and see them. And again, thank you to all the employees. I appreciate everything you guys do. That's all I got.
Thank you. Trustee Lopez.
I just want to say congratulations to our fire department on their awards. That's really
Oh, yeah,
great.
sorry, Dan.
I want to wish our children and teachers a safe and great year. And thanks to all the employees. Trustee Archuleta, I'm sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
Mayor Pro Tem Rumble.
Well, I want to say that things in the village are really looking up. I appreciate all the employees. Everyone's doing a fantastic job. Just wish we could get rid of the mosquitoes. That would help a lot. I appreciate getting the water report. That's what we've been waiting on. And I also would like to say thanks to the fire department. I know these guys work really hard to go up and compete. So you guys are great. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Like the rest of us, I want to thank our employees. They do a tremendous job here at the village. And they are the reason that our village is in great shape. And this past year, fiscal year, was one of the better years financially for our village. And that is because all our employees have gone the extra mile. And like Trustee Archuleta said, fall sports have started. If you can attend one of those games, I'm sure they would like to see some of us out there. And back to school, remember, in the school zones, be very careful in the school zones. And congratulations to our fire chief and assistant fire chief and all the volunteer firefighters. They represented the village of Milan well. We're very proud of you guys. Whenever you meet a veteran, thank him or her for their services. If you can donate to St. Jude's Children's Hospital, do so, or any charity of your choice. And may God bless America, and may God bless the village of Milan. We move on to the announcements. Planning and zoning meeting September 1st, 2022 at 4:30 p.m. Board of Trustees regular meeting September 15th, 2022 at 5:30 p.m. And if there's nothing else, I entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second it.
Motion by Trustee Archuleta, seconded by Trustee Lopez. Trustee Mercer.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Rumble.
Yes.
Trustee Archuleta.
Yes.
Trustee Lopez.
Yes.
Thank you. This meeting is adjourned.